Hey everyone, I got one more limit hold'em hand from yesterday's session to look over in Pio. In this hand, I opened in the hijack with fives, the five of diamonds, five of clubs, got 3-bet by the button and called, and flopped a set on Jack-5-3. We play no leads here, and villain c-bet's basically close to range. And in game, I thought that this was a flop texture where I was basically going to peel with my entire range. So I went with a slow play of my set of fives, which is not a play I highly recommend when you have set and unblock the top pair card on the board. This is one I kind of screwed up, and if we take a look at Pio's strategy here, we can see why. I actually don't peel with my entire range. I'm folding 15%, and we're raising 23% of the time. We're folding all these kind of dominated high and middle cards like King 8, Queen 8, King 6, suited connectors that don't have a lot of interaction with the board like 10-8, 10-7, pretty much only continuing if we have diamonds or spades. So I underestimated how many hands I would have that would just want to immediately check fold and tried to protect my range. That said, we noticed that fives actually throws in some slow plays here to protect our peeling range, and we kind of do a little bit of mixing with everything, which is what you're going to see in these 3-bet pots. There's going to be much more range overlapping and mixing of strategies to make sure that we don't cap any of our ranges too early in the hand. A lot of hands that would check raise immediately on the flop, obviously my hand would be an okay candidate, and then mostly top pairs if you look at all these Jack-X combos. And then some interesting combos like Ace-4 with backdoor flush draw or not. I mean, Ace-4 of clubs, Ace-4 of hearts is going to be where some bluffs come from when the spades or the diamonds roll off. Ace-deuce, same thing. These are unblocking big cards. We just make sure we don't lose the pot to a hand like King-Queen, and we can potentially get better ace-highs to fold. Anyway, in-game I went with call. Turn was a king of spades, and I didn't see any reason to lead this board, although Pio does seem to think that it's at least a good enough card that I should consider leading some hands like King-Queen, probably ones that want to deny a free card, which makes sense. But in-game, I think, and I'm guessing if I ran this with no leads, the EV would be basically negligible. Villain double barrels 76% of the time here. This is not surprising. This is just a good turn card for his range. And we notice that he's just basically betting a lot of all of his pairs and good hands. A lot of his checks are coming from these pocket pairs that just really don't want to face a check raise. He's preferring to bet when he has a spade because obviously he picks up equity on the river and has more equity when facing a check raise. A hand like Ace-5 suited is also a very low frequency hand, and Ace-Queen is doing a lot of taking of free cards here, which sort of makes sense. Although Ace-Queen with the Ace of Spades is barreling. He bet, and I did go for the check raise, and this is pretty pure. This is clear with fives. And I faced a 3-bet. And let's just notice what his 3-betting range is supposed to look like here. In game, I thought this was very bad news for me, but I have too much hand to fold, so obviously I was just going to go into call down mode, and Pio seems to agree with that. Notice that Villain's not even 3-betting all of his sets of fives, and he's never 3-betting King-Jack. So if I can't get 3-bet here by King-Jack, even with the Jack of Spades, then clearly Villain's range is going to be very polar to hands that beat me, or weird bluffing kind of hands, and that's exactly what we see. He basically has like jacks and all these nut flushes. He's just folding all of these ace highs that aren't nut flushes, and he's basically jamming every time he has the nut flush. A few slivers of slow play, but yeah, his range is now very polar, and I decided to call down. The river was an ace. I get 10% leads here, which is kind of weird. I'm just going to ignore that. I checked and he bet. Notice that he does find 40% checkbacks on the end here. That's kind of interesting. Look at how much this river card actually, he hates it when he has something like jacks or fives. This is because my queen 10 combos got there, so we noticed I would mix in some check raises on the turn with queen 10, and obviously when I face a 3-bet, those hands are calling if they have a spade. So I have a decent amount of queen 10 that arrives to the river this way. So, you know, when I get to the river here, like a lot of my payoff range is going to be a straight. So he no longer has much value with king jack, 3 jacks. Notice that even my king jack and stuff are basically indifferent. They're kind of 0 EV to call the river. So yeah, he's basically betting the nut flush and not much else, and he still has enough value to just do that. You know, other flushes, queen high flushes, things like that. But basically very, very strong hands. And when he bets, my hand is just a pure call. It looks like it does gain a little bit versus fold. It's slightly profitable. I guess I can, you know, I can beat a few slivers of value, or possibly or some funky bluffs. At this stage when the pot's this big, it's hard to find the funky bluffs, but oh, I don't know. Can we see any slivers of bluffs in here? It's not looking like good. Here, King 9 of hearts found some sort of a sliver of a bluff, but there's not a lot. So anyway, I lost to the nut flush. Kind of an anticlimactic result, but is what it is.